Hi, I'm Marge Robeson, registered dietitian with Pasonic Partners.
And I'm Louis Aguilar, production lead.
And behind the camera, I am Melinda Gray, food service manager for LCCAA Head Start.
Welcome to part 2 of our 3-part Build a Balanced Plate Out of the Box cooking series. Today we're going to make a frittata. A frittata is an egg-based dish similar to a quiche but without a crust. There's many different types of frittatas and variations, but today we'll be demonstrating one with a Mexican flavor that'll pair well with our salsa from our last cooking series. So to review, all the recipes in this series are designed to be components of a balanced plate when put together. A frittata would be the protein component. Often when we think of protein, we think about animal sources such as beef, pork, chicken, or fish. Eggs are certainly an excellent source of protein also. There are also a great source of non-animal proteins or vegetarian sources of proteins such as nuts, seeds, beans, and tofu. Protein is an important part of the plate. It helps provide a balanced plate. It helps add satiety to our meals or that feeling of fullness, and protein is important for growth and repair of tissue in our bodies. Of course, we prefer that more often you choose lower fat sources of protein. So let's wash our hands and start cooking. Because this recipe requires to be baked in the oven, we're also going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. The first step in preparing our frittata is to take your casserole dish and spray it with some non-stick spray. If you don't have non-stick spray, you can just use a little bit of the olive oil and coat the pan. Then the next step is to start preparing the pepper and the onion.
Now, the recipe does call for a medium onion. And if you can't find a medium onion, it's fine to use half of a large onion, which is what I'll be using today. And I know that the recipe calls for sliced strips of the onion and the pepper, but I prefer diced just because of the bite size.
So Louis pre-prepped some of his ingredients, but is going to be dicing the pepper and the onion. What we love about frittatas is that they're really versatile, and so I think a frittata is great because you can add any ingredients that you would like to it. There's a base to a frittata, and in your box you'll get a form that has variations of a frittata. I think the base of a frittata is the same. Usually about 6 eggs. You'll see we're going to mix with about 1/4 cup of milk. But what you add into that frittata is up to you. Like I said, we're making a Mexican one, so we're going with peppers and some Mexican spices. But you can also add into this, if there's meats that you would like, other vegetables that you have in your refrigerator, those can be used too. So I see that he has his pan heated with some oil just to start heating that so that he can saute the peppers and the onions. So the other thing I really like about frittatas is they're really easy to make ahead. So if you're looking for something quick and easy to make, you can even make the frittata the day ahead and keep it in the refrigerator so that when you're ready to eat it, all you have to do is take out a slice or two, if you only want a slice or two, and reheat that in the microwave, or you can just take the whole frittata and reheat it in the oven. So it saves on that prep time and is a great thing to make ahead. Now he's dicing the onion.
Now, once I finish dicing this onion, the next step is I'm going to add it to my pan with the heated oil. So I'm just finishing this up now. And we're about there. And if you have a spatula, laying around. You can use that to help you incorporate the product into the pan. So that's the next step here. And that is the sound that you want to hear, and you'll know that the oil is hot enough. You want to hear that sizzle. So we're just going to add that into our pan. Cook that up. You just want to give it a quick stir just to get it evenly placed in your pan. And we're going to let that cook down for about 5 minutes. So our veggies have been sauteing for about 5 minutes and they're tender, so we're going to transfer them into our pre-greased casserole dish. And we'll set this to the side, and next will be our eggs.
So you'll be getting in your box some liquid eggs, and of course milk that's used for the frittata. So Louis is pouring the milk in, and then he's going to measure the liquid eggs. So each egg is equal to about a quarter of a cup of liquid eggs. So the recipe calls for 6 eggs, which is about a cup and a half of the liquid egg. And liquid eggs are just a convenient way to have eggs. It's just 100% egg, but in a liquid form. And because we know your kids will be taking these home with them, we don't want any broken eggs, so we decided to use liquid eggs. So Louis will be whisking the egg and the milk together and then adding the spices to it. And I know for that Mexican flavor we have what? Some cumin.
Cumin, salt, and pepper.
So you just whisk and incorporate that together, and then he's going to pour that over those sauteed vegetables that he did. And again, this is very versatile, so if you want less pepper, or if you have something at home you want to substitute in instead of peppers, I like broccoli, asparagus. If I have spinach, I might substitute that in. Personally, I like to put some diced ham in there. If you have some sausage crumbles, bacon crumbles, that would be great too. So make it, customize it as you like. So the egg is on all the vegetables. Now we're going to bake that in our preheated oven for about 30 minutes. So as our frittata is baking in the oven, I've invited Julia Lee to join me. She's a dietetic intern. I thought she could give us some information about eggs and feeding eggs to children.
Awesome. Eggs can be a great source of protein and a perfect finger food for your child. The advice used to be that eggs should be introduced after a year, but now that has changed to 6 months, and that actually helps to reduce the risk of allergies, because eggs are a common allergy. When you begin to introduce the eggs, you want to make sure it's the only food that you're introducing and that there's no spices, no salt, no pepper, nothing added to it. You want to wait 3 to 5 days between each new food to ensure that your child isn't having any reactions or difficulties with digestion.
That's great advice. And I think something like the frittata would be wonderful for like a toddler because it can be diced into a finger food and they can pick it up and eat it themselves. Mm-hmm. And it, again, as we talked about last time, pairing new foods with preferred foods is a great way to introduce new foods to kids. So if something like a frittata, if they've been exposed to eggs, you can maybe incorporate some new vegetables or something in there, again, pairing that new food with a preferred food. So Julia, what can you tell us about eggs and cardiovascular health and cholesterol? I know some of those guidelines have changed.
Yeah, so in the past it was known that eggs were bad for your health. They contain cholesterol, and cholesterol was known to cause risks for cardiovascular disease. But research has actually shown that cholesterol isn't the cause. It's more the trans fats and the saturated fats like meat, cheese, high-fat dairy products. Things like that are what cause your cholesterol levels to raise. So research shows that eating a couple eggs a day is okay. Even up to 15 egg yolks a week is actually okay. It doesn't show any risk towards cardiovascular disease.
Great. So I know eggs are, like we said, a great source of protein, very economical, and I think people should feel comfortable having eggs in their diet unless they've been told otherwise by their doctor.
Once the frittata is done, and a good indicator of your frittata being done is the eggs are set, meaning that it is firm to the touch and visibly not jiggly. You'll want to add the cheese and just put it back in the oven until melted.
Then we've cut the frittata and paired it with the salsa that we made from part 1 of our cooking series.
And we all hope that you will join us for part 3, the cilantro lime quinoa, on April 13th, which will be the grain component of the plate.